Well, it's time for us to have our own version of a TED Talk. Our junior senator from Texas, Rafael Edward Cruz. I have no idea. I've never asked him how we got Ted out of Rafa and Ed. I think it should have been Red to begin with, more appropriate on the GOP side. Ted, welcome back to KURV. Good to talk to you again.
Sergio, my friend, good to be with you, even if only virtually today.
Yes, sir. Big hug to you virtually as well. $250 billion. What's it going to take to get a voice vote, do a second try, and try to refill that payroll cookie jar, Senator?
Well, I think it's going to happen. It's certainly what Senate Republicans are pushing to do. The Paycheck Protection Plan has been immensely popular. The number one recipient of it in the country has been the state of Texas. We've had $22 billion versus worth of emergency loans going to small businesses to go to paychecks and salaries and keep people employed with their small businesses, keep them on their health care, keep them with their job. The money is expected to run out either today or tomorrow.
Oof.
And right now, Senate Democrats are blocking it. They're trying to hold it hostage for a series of partisan demands. I don't think they're going to be able to hold that line. They tried that with the CARES Act 3 weeks ago. Remember, Nancy Pelosi did the same thing. And ultimately, there's too much support for the Paycheck Protection Program that I think that the Democrats' cynical effort to hold it hostage, they're going to end up giving in on that.
You need to call people at the U.S. Chamber or National Federation of Independent Business, and they need to carry this flag, and they need to start making some noise because the bank account is empty, and we need to refill because we got a lot of businesses that still need to tap in and make payroll. Otherwise, they are going to disappear, and we're not getting those people back. They might be getting jobs at Amazon or somewhere else, but we know we need those people because they're the major employers, big employers in our country. And government telling these businesses to close. Well, government needs to pony up, make payroll for a little bit. What are you looking for as far as turning on the lights in our economy, and by when?
We have got to get Texans back to work, and I think that is a critical priority. We've got two crises playing out simultaneously across the country. A public health crisis, which is the coronavirus pandemic. We're taking extraordinary steps to flatten the curve and slow the spread of the virus. But we've also got an economic crisis as tens of millions of people are losing their jobs. Millions of small businesses are on the verge of bankruptcy. And we've got to get Texans back to work, and we've got to balance both sides of it. Look, the economic halt has a real public health consequence. As people are thrust into poverty, as they lose their savings, as they lose a small business they may have spent a lifetime building, we know there'll be public health consequences. We know there'll be mental health consequences. We know there'll be depression and increased risk of suicide. We know there'll be increased substance abuse and alcohol abuse. And our priority should be saving lives on both sides of the ledger. And I think what that'll mean, it will vary region by region, depending upon the facts and the science and what's happening on the ground. Look, New York City is facing a horrific crisis. No one would argue New Yorkers should go back to work tomorrow. But not every part of the country is facing the same challenge. It's very different in the Valley than it is in New York City. And I think we ought to look at taking very vulnerable populations, the very elderly, those with serious health conditions, continuing to quarantine them because those are the vulnerable populations, particularly at risk to this virus. But for young, healthy people, we need to get them back in their jobs, back driving, back working, back going out. And there may be changes, at least for the short term, things like masks and gloves and PPE, things like restaurants reconfiguring their dining rooms to spread them out to allow social distancing to mitigate the spread. But the harms and the lives that will be lost if we continue to freeze the economy is unacceptable. I'm very glad both the president and the governor are laying out this week's plans to get us back to work because that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah, we definitely do. Our Senator Ted Cruz joining me right now, and we need a battle cry. People running for Senate or for the House, everybody running. We need a battle cry from conservatives to repatriate PPE and durable medical equipment, ventilators. We need to stockpile what we build right now. Everybody's building in the U.S., but it needs to come back from China. We cannot be dependent ever again. Our medical stuff from China. I don't know how this needs to happen, but that needs to be a battle cry this campaign year.
Amen. And China has very deliberately targeted our vulnerabilities. It's targeted critical infrastructure. It's targeted medical supplies and pharmaceuticals. And far too much of our supply chain is in China. We've seen in the midst of this crisis the Chinese government threatening to cut off critical medicines to the United States, critical medicines, antibiotics, and blood pressure medication and heart medication. Sergio, that's not just economic warfare.
No.
That's actual warfare. If you're taking life-saving medication away, you are threatening the lives of Americans, and we need to bring that critical infrastructure back to the United States of America.
How do we pay for all this? There was an idea floated, perhaps maybe creating a specific type of bond, like a war bond type. Where's that up in D.C. right now? What are your colleagues talking about? Is it possible we can maybe separate this mess that we're in, the multi-trillion-dollar mess that we're in, and get it war bonded somehow?
Look, I could see an option like a war bond, and that could well make sense, but a war bond is another vehicle for debt. And the short answer is we're funding this by borrowing it. And the national debt, $2.2 trillion, was 10% of the national debt. And we're borrowing it on the backs of our kids and grandkids. Now, this is a crisis. And it made sense. I voted yes. In fact, it was unanimous in the Senate. Every Republican, every Democrat voted yes, because people need a short-term bridge loan to make it through this crisis. But the answer is not to just keep shoveling money at this. The answer is to get through the crisis. We need testing. We need widespread testing to defeat the virus and protect people's lives. And then we got to stop freezing the economy. We can't, our country can't sustain weeks and weeks and months on end of everyone stopping working and just printing money. We've got to stop that, because that would do, I think, immeasurable damage to the country.
Caroline, Catherine, and Heidi, how are they holding up? You're back with them back home, right?
I am. They're doing great. We're all at home. I'm working from home. I've been here over a month working from home. Heidi's working from home. Both girls are going to school from home, 3rd grade and 6th grade. And so we're all in one place. It's a miracle we haven't killed each other yet. But we had yesterday was Caroline's 12th birthday.
Nice.
So we had a big party planned at a roller rink. Obviously, we couldn't do that given what's going on. So we canceled the party. But we did set up a really nice opportunity where we put a sign up in our front yard that says happy birthday. And a bunch of our 6th grade classmates drove by and waved and honked the horns with their parents, and they signed a giant poster board wishing her happy birthday. So it was nice that we could find a way to celebrate that also respected social distancing. And
you're helping out with homeschooling, right? You're not leaving Mama alone to do the homeschooling, are you?
Oh, you better believe it. We're doing it together, and it ain't easy, and there are a lot of parents who are struggling with that.
All right. I know you got to go, Senator. Thank you for giving us a few minutes. Big hug to you. Call again.
Thank you, my friend. God bless.